Hello, this is day 18 of daily drawing. I'm not checking little posts, you are. And today I'm going to just be drawing the Drawabox rotated cubes exercise. Because I need to study. Yeah, it's the exercise I have to do. Where's my pen? Damn, it's in my bag, one sec. But it's a bit for school, so whatever. Yeah, not horrible. Okay. Oh, I messed up. Okay. No, no worries. Should be accurate. Should be just about then. I also did some nice doodles in class, which I'm pretty satisfied with. I think I'll do a full piece based off of a couple of them. The gestures that I've done really helped me like actually understand the flow of people.
The rotated boxes exercise is one that has given students a lot of grief over the last many years it has been part of this course. It is very challenging in what it asks, but as stressed throughout lesson 0, that is the nature of how this course works. Students are regularly asked to do things they are not at all equipped to do perfectly or even well. The value of it comes not from the end result you get to show off to your buddies. It comes from the things we're forced to consider as we work through the exercise. It doesn't really matter how the result comes out. It only matters that you're giving yourself ample time to work through the task and that you're following the instructions to the letter. So throughout it, you're thinking about all the right things. As long as that's the case, it will help to gently rewire your brain and develop the manner in which you think about 3D space as you attempt to capture it on the flat page. Our goal in this exercise is to create an arrangement of boxes that rotates around a point in the center of the set. Some students incorrectly think this exercise is about spherical perspective, the kind of fisheye effect that leverages 4 to 6 vanishing points to create a grid. But this is not the case. As discussed in the lecture portion of the lesson, in order to get the arrangement,
Watch that. I'll watch the next one. But actually, I don't really need to. I know it. I can read the instructions. This is fine.
When working through the rotated boxes exercise, we basically rely on two approaches. The first of these is, when possible, relying on any edges that already neighbor and follow more or less the same trajectory as the one you're looking to draw. This relies on them being so close together that the angle between them as they converge towards the same vanishing point is very small, making them close enough to parallel for our purposes here. The other approach, in the absence of such helpful hints to follow, is to estimate. We don't have such closely and directly related guidelines to refer to, but we can still use what we learned in the lecture section, specifically about how vanishing points slide around as the edges they govern rotate in space, to estimate how the new edges we add should behave. You will have already seen me do this plenty in the video covering the exercise as a whole, but I felt this was something that could be easily missed or not completely understood, so in this video we're going to analyze how this can be applied. We're going to start with our central box defined and the box to the side of it defined wherever its edges have the benefit of neighbors, which is really just going to be the leftmost plane. While we can ostensibly work on each edge separately, it can help to better understand what it is we're doing if we look at two at a time. So we're going to focus on the top and bottom edges of the box's front face, which correspond to these on the box we already have constructed. Looking more closely at those edges on the central box, we can see that they run perfectly horizontal and parallel, converging towards an infinite vanishing point to the right. As we rotate our box, this vanishing point is going to slide towards the center of our composition, so towards the left, and so those edges' convergence will increase. We have one end of each of these edges pinned down, thanks to these on the box we already have constructed. Looking more closely at those edges on the central box, we can see that they run perfectly horizontal and parallel, converging towards an infinite vanishing point to the right. As we rotate our box, this vanishing point is going to slide towards the center of our composition, so towards the left, and so those edges' convergence will increase. We have one end of each of these edges pinned down, thanks to those edges with neighbors, which means that as this vanishing point slides closer, we can only change the position of the other end of each edge to achieve the resulting convergence. So to put it simply, these ends are stuck, so the other end of each edge has to come closer together to go from being parallel to converging. By how much exactly? We don't know specifically, and as this is not a linear perspective course, but rather one on developing one's 3D spatial reasoning skills on an instinctual and subconscious level, we're not going to worry about exactness. What we do know is that the closer our vanishing point slides to the center of the composition, the more it slows down as it moves along the horizon, and the slower that convergence increases. Since this rotation is starting from infinity, that means that the actual change in convergence will be quite significant, but as we move to the next box to the right, we'll be further still from infinity, so the convergence will change more slowly in relation to the actual rotation of the box. Keeping this in mind, that here we want our edges to converge a little, we'll place our endpoints a little more closely together than the starting points. We also know that these edges will be shorter on the page than those of the middle box, since they're slanting away, so we'll factor that in as well. We could execute the lines as well, but we'll leave that to the end. When a line is drawn, it's a commitment. We cannot replace or correct it for the purposes of our exercises. But when it's just a point, it carries far less weight, so leaving it this way for now means we could adjust it later, and there's certainly a chance that we might want to as we figure out the other connected edges. The rest of the process is really just a repetition of the same. There are 4 edges that still need to be constructed, but there's actually only 2 corners missing, with 2 edges sharing each of them. As we figure out where to place these corners, we're going to be thinking about 2 distinct pairs of converging edges. There's the top and bottom of the side plane, which converge towards a vanishing point that is already towards the center of our composition, and gradually sliding to the left towards infinity. And there's the top and bottom of the back plane, which converge towards the right, like the first 2 edges we looked at. Where our first 2 edges were just slipping away from infinity, which as explained in the lecture section, will mean that the convergence there increases quite quickly at first. The edges from the side plane will do the opposite. They're shifting from converging right to the middle of the composition, and gradually they're going to move towards becoming more parallel. Think of it like a car, with parallelity being our speed. The edges go going to the right were very parallel, and then we hit the brakes, so our speed dropped sharply. The edges going to the left, however, were stopped already, so our speed will build up slowly at first. While we are certainly paying attention to 2 edges for each corner here, I find that it helps to focus first on the ones that are perpendicular to the edges we've already planned. Since we're working in the realm of estimation and educated guesses, doing all of that estimation based on edges that flow in the same general direction may result in some skewing. So by focusing more on the side plane, whose edges converge towards the left, instead of the back plane whose edges converge towards the right, we're counteracting that risk. Once those points are placed, we'll consider the back plane's edges to make sure that they still make sense, and make any adjustments as necessary. From here, we use the ghosting method to connect our points with straight, confident edges. And there you have it, a box rotated using estimations of our convergences, all based on our understanding of how vanishing points slide around.
mess this up. Where did I go wrong? I'll try this again tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed watching. Have a wonderful day. I don't know, this has been daily drawing practice day like 19. Day 18. Bye bye.